Carl Icahn is one of Wall Street's most successful figures. In the 1980s, he started taking over public companies which are poorly run and forces change in management team to unlock shareholder value. Often, the companies he targets pays him large chunk of money called Greenmail, which alone gives him great return to his fund. Over the years, this ruthless corporate activism has made him fortunes. By the end of the 20th century, he has changed his strategy from purely profit-seeking to creating sustainable shareholder value for the long term, as he became a shareholder activist. Investors usually followed his lead and bought into the businesses he set his focus upon, and this increases the stock price caused by the anticipation that Icahn would uncover shareholder value. This phenomena has been known as the Icahn lift. In today's video, we are going to take a learn about Carl Icahn and how did he make his billions.
He's made a lot of money for shareholders. He really has. If you look at what he's done over the years, I don't agree with some of the stuff he does, but I think he's way too easy on some of these companies.
Carl Icahn was born on February 16, 1936, in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York. He was the only child of a mother who was a teacher and a father with several occupations. After high school, Carl attended Princeton University, where he received a bachelor's degree in philosophy in 1957. After leaving Princeton, Carl attended New York University to study medicine. After 2 years of study, he disenrolled to enlist in the United States Army Reserves. Once discharged, Icahn became a stockbroker, working for several firms before founding his brokerage firm, Icahn & Company, with a $400,000 loan from his uncle.
Federal Mogul, PSC Metals, 17 years. Federal Mogul, 14 years. Viscase, 14 years. Exo, 14 years. Vector, 13 years. American Casino, 11 years. National Energy, 11 years. West Point, 11. And it goes on and on. We, and many activists, are not short-term oriented. I can't say all of them are. It depends. I mean, if you have partnerships and people want to get returns, I guess you have to be somewhat short-term oriented.
Icahn's first victory came in 1979 at the Tappan Company. Soon after winning a seat on the board, he engineered the sale of the kitchen stove maker in a transaction that earned him $3 million. Soon after, he would target Marshall Fields and Phillips Petroleum, which yielded significant returns as the companies fought to stave off a takeover. TWA was the pinnacle of Icahn's early endeavors. In 1985, he took over the airline once controlled by Howard Hughes. Soon after, TWA bought several small regional carriers as Icahn sought to use the airline's expanded scale to increase its profitability. In 1988, he took the company private through a $650 million stock buyback plan that allowed him to regain almost his entire $469 million investment. This also saddled TWA with $540 million in debt. Soon after, the airline's most prized routes would be sold to competitors, leading the weakened business to declare Chapter 11 in 1992. Icahn left the company the next year. Icahn said, "My investment philosophy, generally, with exceptions, is to buy something when no one wants it." More specifically, as a contrarian investor, he identifies stocks with low price-to-earnings ratios or with book values that exceed the current market valuation. Icahn then aggressively purchases a significant position in the corporation and either calls for the election of an entirely new board of directors or the divestiture of assets in order to deliver more value to shareholders. Icahn focuses publicly on CEO compensation, arguing that many top executives are grossly overpaid and that their pay is not commensurate with shareholder returns. Icahn's experience with TWA would lead him to focus primarily on increasing the share price of his investments by forcing the divestiture of the company's undervalued assets. An alternative outcome was the direct payment of Greenmail to Icahn. Typically, Icahn would buy a large block of shares in the corporation and then nominate his own slate of directors for election at the company's annual meeting. Icahn used this tactic to force USX, the corporate descendant of Andrew Carnegie's U.S. Steel, to spin off its steelmaking operations and focus on the petroleum business through Marathon Oil. In 1991, following the creation of a second class of USX shares to track the steel business, both share classes gained 28%. Icahn also got involved in the battle between Pennzoil and Texaco over Getty Oil. He accumulated more than 13% of Texaco's stock but failed in his effort to take control of the board. He profited when the resolution of the dispute lifted Texaco's share price, bringing Icahn a financial windfall. In another famous corporate raid, Icahn accumulated a 7.3% stake in RJR Nabisco during the late 1990s. He then launched a proxy fight to gain control of the board and force the breakup of the company. Even though Icahn was unsuccessful in these efforts, the raid produced a $100 million gain for his portfolio. In a similar vein, Icahn tried unsuccessfully to force Time Warner to split its operations into 4 separately listed companies in 2006. Though rebuffed by the other major shareholders, Icahn got Time Warner to elect 2 independent board members and commit to cost-cutting measures, reaping another large gain in the process. In the autumn of 2012, Icahn targeted Netflix Incorporated. True to his contrarian philosophy, he accumulated a stake of more than 10% of the company when Netflix stock was near a 52-week low. The Icahn lift sent the share price soaring 14% after he disclosed in a regulatory filing his stake in the company. Netflix board responded by adopting a poison pill. By the time he exited the position in 2015, Icahn had made more than $1.9 billion on his initial $321 million investment. As of June 24, 2022, Carl Icahn's net worth is $22 billion. Carl Icahn is the founder of and owns 87% of Icahn Enterprises, a diversity holding company. It operates across 7 operating segments and includes subsidiaries such as Icahn Automotive Group, pharmaceutical company Vivus, and home textile provider West Point Home. Icahn has a healthy portfolio of investments, many of which. Descriptions of Carl Icahn range from vulture capitalist to greenmailer. He's been called a gadfly and a shareholder activist. In fact, neither his philosophy nor his strategy has changed much over the decades as he rose from stockbroker to one of Wall Street's most influential players. Investors such as T. Boone Pickens and Saul Steinberg have employed similar hardball tactics in their battles with the boards of undervalued public corporations. However, Icahn's war chest has grown not only from the accumulation of the gains from past deals but also thanks to his creation of Icahn Enterprises, a large master limited partnership. This investment vehicle provides Icahn with capital supplementing his enormous personal fortune for use in strategic investments and shareholder activism. And that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, then feel free to hit the subscribe button for more business-related content.